Hey guys, welcome back to another Gaming Memories video. Here we are taking a look at Test Drive 5 that was released on the PlayStation back in 1998. It was developed by Pitbull Syndicate and published by Accolade Software. It also got a release on the PC as well, so there was two versions of the game that were actually had back in the day. So this was released towards the latter end of the PlayStation's life cycle in 1998 itself, and it was more of a comparison or like a competition to Need for Speed 3 Hot Pursuit that was released by EA, but it actually failed to pretty much meet that mark because mainly because 1998 was an incredible year for games in general, and you had so many big name titles. Like there was Need for Speed 3 Hot Pursuit, but not only that, you had Gran Turismo of all titles. Like that literally just changed the whole concept of gaming in its own right itself. I actually have done previous videos on both of those games. I'll make sure to drop links down in the description so that you can check them out. But that's not to say that this isn't a bad title. I remember actually when I first played this, it was actually a mate of mine, Derek. He'd actually gotten hold of a copy of it and he rented it out for a night, and I was over at his house and he actually had it, and because we were just big into cars, so he's like, "Oh, I actually like this game here." He says it's not as good as some of the other games mentioned, but there's a lot of stuff in it, and he was right. Like now the graphics are really good in the game. I like the visual aesthetic and the level design and some of the cool kind of areas that you can go into in different countries. The tracks are very long. They do take a while to get through. The handling physics on the cars themselves are actually, they're good, but they can be very fiddly because you can literally just wipe out at any point in time. It's very, very twitchy, that if you are driving at a high speed, you can literally just go into a massive spin and just completely crash into everything and you lose all your progress. The main thing as well with this here, like with a lot of racing games, is the AI is very, very cheap. That no matter how far you are in the race, if at any time literally the AI can literally just absolutely just annihilate you. Like you could be like 10 seconds ahead, and literally within a matter of 2 or 3 seconds it can literally just zip past you. It's like they've got a speed boost, and before you've actually crossed the finish line, they will just totally destroy you and you'll never catch them then. So that's the problem that I mainly had with this game. It took a while to get used to, but when you got used to it, it actually was a good game. I remember actually then a year or two later I actually bought this myself. I actually got it really cheap, and I'll be honest, I absolutely loved it. Actually, I got more into it the more I actually played it. The one really good thing about this game is it's got an excellent soundtrack as well, from likes of bands like Fear Factory, Junkie XL and Pitch Shifter. A lot of those groups actually had done kind of collaborations on even some of the Need for Speed games on their soundtracks as well, so it was pretty cool. This game actually does have a very, very good soundtrack. It's definitely one of its best features. It really kind of does suit the aesthetic of the game, in my opinion. It really does. Another thing the game actually does offer, it does have a lot of tracks, but it's also got an absolute ton of cars, and actually some of the best cars pretty much ever made. And it has different variants of each of the cars too. You can start off like with a standard like edition Viper GTS here, but then as you go through the game, when you're winning races and so forth, you unlock a load of other cars. So you'll even get a more sporty or kind of souped up like GTSR version of the Dodge Viper, which is actually really, really cool. So again, it'll be faster again. So not only do you get access to standard cars, you can get access to more beefier versions of the cars as well. And you've everything pretty much from 60s Shelby Cobras, Mustangs, you have Nissan Skylines, Jaguars, and like pretty much a lot of the big name brands, even Pontiac GTOs. Some of your all-time favourite cars, you can guarantee you'll find them in this game. That's the one thing that drew me into it as well. Just the selection of cars was just insane in this game. It really was, like, and that's what kind of actually kept me playing it as well, because I wanted to pretty much test out every car and see what every car was like. And regardless of the handling physics of the game, even though it was very fiddly, but I actually did enjoy it. The more I played it, the more I got into it. Again, now you'd have to have a good few tries on some of the races to be able to win, and sometimes it was a matter of luck whether you'd actually win a race or not, because the AI can be very, very cheap a lot of the time. But if you stuck with it, this was actually a decent game. Now I know there were other versions of the game that were actually released, because this is actually based off the original Test Drive franchise that was released early on in the early days of gaming, especially with 3D gaming way back in the early 90s. So there was actually on the PlayStation originally, there was Test Drive 4. I did play a demo of that first off, about a year or two before I actually had played this here. And then there was Test Drive 6 then. It actually got released on the PlayStation and on the PC as well. Again, they're very similar, but at the same time they do have their own different elements as well. So it's definitely something to look into if you're into these type of games. Again, the Test Drive franchise has gone on to do loads of different type of variants, even Test Drive Off-Road. There's loads of different types of variations in the series as well. So they definitely had quite a number of racing type games on the PlayStation, so there was something there for everybody. I know they weren't as polished or as refined as some other games that I've mentioned, like the Need for Speed, Gran Turismo and a few others, but there is fun to be had with these games, especially if you do like your cars and you like the selection of cars that are available. You definitely will have plenty here to really get into. And again, there's that many cars in the game that you literally, every time when you're winning a race, you'll just keep unlocking a new car, and that'll drive you then to go and try and unlock another one and so forth. So regardless of the gripes of this game, I have to admit, like, I put a lot of time into this game back in the day when I owned it, and I actually really enjoyed it. I didn't really allow myself to get annoyed by the gripes of it, because again, once I started to get the hang of it, I began to master it. And again, you could take a while to get past some of the levels, but I didn't mind, because when you were enjoying the game as much as I did back then, you didn't really see that as an issue. You just kind of just got on with it and you just played it anyway, and you just were playing it just mainly just to try out the cars and see. There would always be a certain type of car that would always kind of suit you, and you know, some probably not as much. I loved driving this here, the 1967 or 68 Pontiac GTO. I always loved the shape of that car. I actually loved that car. And even the likes of the Dodge Viper as well. So even the Nissan Skyline as well. I actually really loved the Skyline. So just to get any sort of opportunity to play and drive through with your favourite, like kind of like dream cars, definitely is a massive thing, because there was cars in this game here that you wouldn't really see in the likes of even Gran Turismo or even Need for Speed. As many cool cars as there is in those games, they still didn't have all the cars. There's still definitely a few hidden gems that, you know, that this game actually had. So if you wanted to try them out, this here was actually the good alternative. But that's the one thing I liked about with the PlayStation. There was so many different types of games there, each with their own elements, but each one of them were different, but they all offered something. So if you couldn't find something you were looking for in one game, you could jump onto another game and play that as well to get what you needed. So there definitely was enough here to actually really get going. But all in all, it's a flawed game, but it's not a masterpiece, but it is actually a decent game. And if you do like your racing games, it's very fast, it's very frantic, it's very arcadey. You would actually enjoy it if you allow yourself to sit down with it and actually just, you know, have the patience with it and just get into it and just enjoy it. It is actually a decent game. You will actually have a lot of fun with this, so you will. So I highly recommend you check it out if you get the chance to do so, or any of the games on the Test Drive franchise in the PS1. So I'd love to know your thoughts on Test Drive 5 for the PlayStation 1. What did you think of it back in the day? Did you own it? And if so, did you enjoy it? Did you spend long playing it? Make sure to share it down in the comments below. So if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. Also be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be updated whenever I release future content, and feel free to share the video, as I will be re-exploring a lot of these old classic racing games and titles on the PlayStation and share my thoughts and experiences with everyone. So as always, make sure to keep playing those classic games and enjoying them, and keep those gaming memories alive.